Welcome to Comedy and Closings. We're two former comedians that are now successful real estate brokers in New York, dealing with things using what we learned there as tools of the trade here, except instead of dealing with like club owners now, we're dealing with co-op boards, still management companies though. I'm Warren Holstein.
And I'm Josh Carter.
And we'll be back with our guest.
Hi, I'm Dylan Pachulik, CEO of XL Real Property Management, New York's most trusted name in luxury property management since 2012. We specialize in managing individual apartments, townhouses, and rental buildings held by absentee owners. We maintain our properties with the highest standards of quality and service so that owners can choose a hassle-free approach to real estate investing. Rented or owner-occupied, we handle it all. For more information, contact us at xl-rpm.com.
I'm Brian Scott Cohen, one of the top loan originators in the country, and the #1 mortgage originator at Guaranteed Rate Infinity. Guaranteed Rate Infinity arguably has the most advanced tech in the industry. Our completely digital loan process makes it easy and efficient for homeowners, from a 15-minute pre-approval to the digital application and through closing. My team and I would love to help you get into the home of your dreams.
All right, we're back. I'm really happy to have our guest today. Both me and Josh have worked with him
A ton of times. He's our team's go-to attorney, Michael Carlas.
Michael Carlas from Chavez, Perlowitz Luftig. And he's done many deals for us. And for it's really important to have someone on your team that you can trust, or someone to recommend to people.
Who's responsive? Who could, that's the most important. Like, he's always there to pick up the phone, call you right back, problem solve.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
And often you'll get a client that's like, my Uncle Morty wants to recommend someone. He's like, I have a guy.
Yeah.
And he's the same guy that's like, co-ops, what's a co-op? It's not real property, So, so we, Michael is someone that we work with very often. And he's been with me from probably, I think, my second or third deal. And we've done so many deals together at this point. One of the questions that I had for you is, working with me and Josh, we're kind of more outside the box kind of agents with our past history in stand-up comedy. How is it different for you? Are we like well-behaved compared to your average New York City broker, especially when it gets stressful?
This is a scary question for you to ask.
Yeah, well-behaved. That's a loaded question. Well, first, thanks guys for having me. Happy to be here. We've been working together for a couple of years now, and you guys have been great to work with. Funny and, great brokers, nothing but great reviews from our clients, from, mutual clients. Comedy, how were you guys to work with? Scale out of 1 to 10, definitely, I would say an 8.5 to 9. You guys let me handle the legal stuff while you guys take care of the business items.
To be fair, it's not like you're going to be like 3 and they were like, there go your referrals.
Depending on the brokers in front of me, I may give a 2 or a 3.
I went to, Michael does these summer parties, his law firm, where there's drinks and food and everything like that. And one of your associates was like, Michael loves to put you on speakerphone.
Yeah, at a prior
when you
time,
get really pissed off.
At a prior time, we had a shared office. So when you would always call my cell, sometimes I would just put it on speaker so I continue to type. So he used to always get a kick out of listening. And then your picture would pop up when you call me. So he would say, "Oh, there's Warren," and then he would always, we would have a good time listening and going back and forth. And he used to love listening to us to talk about our deals.
Yeah, we're pretty hands-on. That's what I like about you. It's kind of what I look for in someone, is someone that can just take all the calls. And
are all those calls while we're only at an 8.5 and not a 10?
That's pretty good. It is. Yeah, I have to deduct a point, for that. No, you guys are pretty good.
Yeah.
You can't imagine the amount of calls and follow-ups I get from some people who are just itching to close, itching to get the contract signed.
Yeah.
You guys get the process, how long it actually takes, the due diligence.
I think we've called you because we've had me and you have had some pretty interesting clients. Just curious, as far as because there's a lot of different directions you can go in law, and your wife actually is going to be taking the bar soon. What made you pick real estate law?
You know what? But by my own personality, I knew I was going to go into law, but it was never going to be any sort of litigation. I was never going to sit there and argue motions and sit there in front of juries. So it was always going to be transactional related, corporate related. When I jumped into law school, it was post, 08 recession. Everybody was going to law school then. So, it was kind of by, whatever came first. It was internships. I interned at, different corporate securities companies doing a lot of the SEC compliance stuff. And then I was doing a couple of real estate stuff. And, the first opportunity that came, I got into real estate, which was always been somewhat of a passion of mine. My mom was a real estate agent in Long Island.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They own some real estate. So real estate's always been an interest of mine. So, it always, worked out by nature, that I was going to get into this side of the.
Were you very argumentative as a kid? Did you always know you wanted to be a lawyer, or did your mom's
I feel like he's not.
You're going to do something that's not.
Yeah, ask my wife and ask my friends. I'll tell you, I'll argue with them all day long. But I don't think so. I don't think I'm that bad. But
I just know sometimes it's a family decision.
Yeah, no,
I don't want you having 1099 income.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my parents were, their first generation. They were born in Portugal. So, I was limited. I was going to be a doctor or a lawyer. You get the whole spiel. So,
the alternative is you just do what me and Josh said. You disappoint them.
Exactly.
Become a comedian.
I'm sure they'd be proud of us now, though. Instead of talking smack about them on a seedy stage, we're now complaining more formally on an upscale podcast.
Yeah, so it was always, down that path. I went right into law school after to undergrad, so I knew it was something I was going to, most likely partake in.
If you weren't going to do real estate, is there any type of law that you'd be interested in?
Again, more transactional related. I guess,
So not like I'm out of order, you're out of order, this whole court, no interest in any of that.
But it would be more, business side, finance, maybe even a real estate broker, who knows? But yeah, it was always going to be down that path, if not, in the real estate law for me.
Awesome. Yeah, we did a crazy deal at the beginning of the year. Was that one of your what's the craziest thing someone's had you write into a contract?
That deal was a walk in the park compared to some of them, in today's real estate. Everything.
We had that one with an S corp, where it was a co-op that was functioning as an S corp.
Yes, that one. And that was an interesting one.
That was kind of a wacky thing that was bought by artists and everything like that. But we had that through, and that started off where I ended up saving $150,000.
I actually always think of your calls whenever I walk by that building with the painting of the girl in Williamsburg.
That's the building.
Yeah. What's good about CPL? We do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deals a year, so we see kind of something different on every deal. While a lot of the deals are somewhat the same, the contract templates, etc., every deal's a little bit unique. So we see something new on all these deals. So, some for better, some for worse.
And that's what I like about you, because I've had people try to give me arguments or sometimes smaller attorneys. Not that I'm not open to a smaller attorney being like, why do you want something that big? I had one that was complaining in Bay Ridge, and she was like, "Why are you using this guy? There's 10 people I have to contact," and she's yelling at me, and she's like, "What price did he give you? What price did he give?" And I give you a price. She's like, "I can't match that price." But that's kind of what me and Josh.
That's a warrant discount.
Yeah.
Don't tell brokers.
Yeah. Thank you. But also
VIP plus team.
Yeah, VIP plus discount.
Yeah. What I do like is the coverage, because Josh had someone on a previous deal where she was on vacation and she was pissed off she was on vacation. Or I had a lawyer that I recommend, because we usually recommend not just you, but we have you have to recommend a series of people.
Brokers should.
Usually they always say give you a series of 3. That way, if something goes wrong, it's their choice. It's not your choice. Right. But we had someone, they insisted on going with a real estate lawyer, and this dude would come into the office once during the day between 1 and 3. And the deal got, it took 3 extra months on a co-op deal. It could have fallen through. Yeah. So the fact that you have coverage that, God forbid, you go on vacation or you do something else like that matters to me. And also I feel like you have a bunch of people that are doing due diligence for you and everything like that. But you also are kind of I've seen you, you're quiet for a little bit, they're going back and forth, and then you weigh in.
Exactly.
So I like that.
Yeah, so we definitely have a great team that, other firms definitely don't have. So, like you said, if I see it all the time, attorneys go away, which, of course they're entitled to. But then all of a sudden, there's no emails, there's no communication. We can't close. Or, say they're closing, they're doing 2 or 3 closings a day. We have a nice team at CPL where we have closers. So that focuses, and then it allows me to literally just be in front of a desk all day. So when
I know 2 of those closers.
Exactly, yeah. So when you call me, when you email me, I'm answering within minutes. I'm on the phone with you right away, because I'm not stuck at a closing for 3 hours uptown in Brooklyn and Bronx.
Yeah.
I'm readily available, so that really helps the process.
And I think also, like with me and Josh, we're not contacting you for nothing. Like there's usually some type of opportunity involved or something like that.
Exactly.
But going back to that question that Josh asked, like what is like one of the wackiest things that you had someone put in a contract? Because I haven't had too many of those where someone.
No, I had one client. We didn't move forward, as you can imagine, but he was insistent, and it was a pretty, somewhat of a pretty big deal. He wanted to spend the weekend in the apartment, sleep in there.
Sir, there aren't free samples before you commit. This is a co-op, not a Ben and Jerry's.
To see
That sounds like my people too.
to see what the noise level was of the streets and the neighbors and everything. So he wanted to spend a weekend
Are
before
you sure he's
contract.
like not like just a ghost hunter or something?
Yeah,
he just
you would
wanted to make sure there were no
he
evil
was dead
spirits.
serious, and he
Yeah.
thought it was completely normal, and he thought we were crazy.
This was a co-op or a condo?
This was actually a co-op too.
Did you have to? Oh, wait, how did that get through to? He was doing that
listen,
outside the
no,
broker?
the deal died. We didn't go through. We didn't get into
Yeah.
contract. Of course not.
What did the broker say? How did that question even get through to you?
What, did they have a buyer's agent or was it just an unrepresented?
No, it was
person?
both. It was he had a buyer's agent. And,
And the buyer's agent thought that
Listen,
was
sometimes when the brokers don't want to let the clients down, they let the attorneys do it.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
so,
I
you're
see.
great for that.
so we had to
That's funny though.
at least tell them. At the end of the day, when clients come to me with crazy asks, I never say no. I'll say, listen, these are the norms. I'll ask for you. So of course we ask, and it was rejected pretty quickly. And as you can imagine, when you have certain expectations of that, the deal didn't move forward for those were one of the reasons, with another list of myriad of reasons in terms of things that just weren't reasonable that he was looking for. So we get things like that all the time, where there be just minor items, deals worth $4 or $5 million, and they want a fixture and apply, something small that the seller wants to take, and vice versa. On the seller side, they want to take a tiny appliance or a tiny light fixture with them, and that ends up killing the deal. Things like, or when you were talking about $4 or $5 million apartment, and a $200 fixture is what ends up making or breaking the deal sometimes. These are just
Sometimes
things
like
that
something
come up.
feels like cursed, like from the beginning. Like you don't know this about me, but before I did comedy, I used to do legal proofreading. I used to do the
I didn't
12-day
know.
shift doing legal proofreading, and there were some law firms that felt cursed. Like they were just
energy.
everything there. It was just bad juju. I mean, I remember there was one law firm that I worked for where they had there was this crazy partner that just like had like Tourette's or something like that, and he would actually, but he made them so much money, and he would he did some wacky stuff. But,
I'm like picturing the guy from Suits.
I mean, he
the
literally,
eccentric
not
guy
to
when
get
you
too
say that.
graphic, but he painted the walls with his excrement.
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus.
and they still kept him there. I got into an elevator with him
That's
one
running
time,
a
and he
lot
was
of business.
screaming at me. He started cursing and stuff, and I'm like, pressing the next button. I got out of there. But have you ever so that I didn't mean to it not, and I don't think that your law firm is one of those. But have you ever had that foreboding or something like bad juju that you feel like in the beginning of a deal or something that just is
sometimes
there's something off?
Yeah, you see it right off the bat sometimes. At the end of the day, when we're doing so many deals, there's a major, a lot of firms. It's a big real estate world.
Give me an example.
But a small real estate, so we all know each other. So we know, at least the main parties that do this day in and day out. It's when you start dealing with, like you said, your Uncle Morty, who's a divorce attorney, and you start to see it right off the bat. The minute it takes a week for a contract to get signed, they start asking for things. I'm dealing with a co-op attorney right now who won't answer any emails when it comes to scheduling the closing. He won't accept any documents via email.
I feel like some of those are they're just as bad as the management companies at the co-ops.
So now, I had to call him, and he explained why he doesn't do anything via email, and now I have to put a whole, I have to send him the contract, the lien search, the stock, everything via mail for him to then prepare it, get the co-op to sign it, and schedule a closing. So you can imagine.
Yeah.
He won't do any emails. This is
Wow.
gonna.
And
We got board
they're-
approval a month ago. It's probably not going to close for another month.
And I feel
because
like among the older co-ops and the pre-war renovated buildings, they have those old management companies and they have those old co-op attorneys where they're like, we'll just use the den and my brownstone to do the closing, and you go
Paperwork
there and they're just
everywhere.
all of it's everything there. It's like I have a TMJ guy because I'm stressed. And writes everything meticulously in handwritten things. And then when he comes to check my adjustments, he goes, and I mean, and that, I guess that's fine for him. It's kind of folksy,
Right.
like Doc Baker from Little House on the Prairie or whatever. I kind of like that, but I don't want that in my co-op attorney. I don't want someone like rifling through where is that, and throwing things.
Yeah, no, you can imagine the co-op attorney and how much paperwork you have, the stock and lease, the originals, the books, and now you don't do anything via email. I can only imagine when we finally go to this guy's office to close, what the paperwork is going to be like, and the mess.
Hey, it could be worse with some of these old timers. At least they didn't request the documents to be delivered via carrier pigeon or chiseled onto stone tablets.
Well, let's. This has been very interesting, and we're going to continue with this. But right now, we're going to take a short break, and we'll speak with Michael soon.
From residential and commercial closings to litigation, Romer DeBoss is your full-service real estate law firm. We blend big firm knowledge with boutique-level attention, delivering outcomes that exceed every expectation. Contact us at romerdeboss.com.
Welcome back to Comedy and Closings. I'm Josh Carter. We're here with Michael Carlas and
Warren Holstein.
Co-host Warren Holstein. Everyone. So we were talking about like the co-op process. Is there anything that brokers sometimes do during negotiations though that makes the job twice as hard for you? Something we maybe could
Not
take
us personally.
forward.
Okay.
Something we
That's
could
a
take
loaded
forward.
question.
Yeah, because you're in a law firm. So what are the things you guys are dealing with? With brokers all the time, right? So what are those things that make your job harder or that drive you? This just stuff that you're bitching about when we're like, oh God, this guy with the.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, you guys are great about letting me handle the legal aspect, and you guys deal with the brokering and the business.
Yeah, I don't want to get in
things
trouble.
like that. We have brokers that try to handle both, and they want to be CC'd on the contract to the clients, and then they review it before it even gets to us. Now they're negotiating, legal points and asking.
We
us.
had one of those guys on the opposite side of my deal, and he really screwed things up. He was and he kept telling his the seller about it. And it was really making things complicated. Yeah, because it was normal due diligence. And she was like, what's wrong?
Just getting involved in just legal points, telling us what the norm is, what's the not. And then the same thing on due diligence. Some brokers want to see it all. And again, it's like I give my review, then they chime in with their own review that's completely different. And then it ends up telling, then the clients are saying, what's the right here? What is it normal? Is it not normal? So, sometimes it's just, letting us do the legal review. And, you guys stick to the business review, chime in as a second option or, a second voice of reason if the clients, of course, ask for it. We're not saying don't get involved.
Well, what's a good concrete example of something that a broker has done? Give me like a specific story to scuttle a deal.
I mean, a lot of times it's just small things like not being clear on your offer. I see it probably once a month. I'm dealing with it right now where, offering financing versus a contingent versus non-contingent matter. That's a big business point, and it's something that nowadays in today's market with all the bank regulations, with local law 11, with all these things that are ongoing, a bank needs to approve the building. On a non-contingent deal, if a bank doesn't approve that building, the buyer's SOL here, our 10% at risk, we could really be, in a mess. So, when a buyer, we have a deal right now where a buyer is very clear they wanted a contingent on financing. It made its way to the deal sheet. It's a non-contingent deal.
Wait, the buyer agent said that it was okay for it to be non-contingent, or they snuck it in? Because I've had that happen where they try to sneak it in.
I think it was just agreed to, between the brokers that it would be non-contingent, didn't make its way over to the buyers. And now, I'm reviewing the contract with our buyers, and they see it's a non-contingent deal.
Oh, they didn't sign it yet, though, right?
No, but now we have to go back and renegotiate a major business point. And every time when we're ready at that point, a seller's being told it's a non-contingent offer, it's a strong offer.
Yeah.
To go back and now retrade that, a large business item, it's something we see all the time, and it ends up either killing the deal or, we have to come to some sort of resolution in terms of meeting halfway in the middle, limiting the contingency, number of days, things along those lines. But sometimes just not being very clear in the offer and being clear in that deal sheet that gets sent to the attorneys. We see issues all the time because, we should be putting all the terms, everything into that deal sheet to make clear from the outset what the offer is, if it's contingent, non-contingent, how much we're financing, exclusions, inclusions. Sometimes, we don't even know there's a tenant in there until 2 weeks later. So if there's a tenant, is that tenant
tell me some
leaving?
stories
When's that
about
lease is up?
because some tenant in place stories like that can be a real nightmare, right?
You have to,
because technically, someone's supposed to be out, and if they say someone's going to be out, I mean, they don't really have to be out, right? Like I met someone recently. We were just looking at it yesterday. I was looking at a place, and this place has been on market since 2024. And I told my buyer, I said, "There's a reason this place has been on." And then the doorman was like, "That lady's nuts."
Yeah.
So it's like you have someone who is the reason that they're staying there is not they're going to get. You can even buy them out. The reason they're stay there is because the voices in their head are telling them so.
Yeah.
And there's tinfoil all over the room.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's like Kevin Spacey in Seven.
Yeah, no, anytime there's tenants in there, it could definitely make the closing process a little bit more difficult. Typically we have, if you're not taking subject to that tenant, of course, and obviously if you are, you don't know what kind of tenant you're getting, how they've operated in the past. We ask for certain contract reps, but at the end of the day, you don't really know until you're actually a landlord and dealing with them. But when we're supposed to get a contract or a unit that's vacant at closing and there was a tenant in there previously, we've definitely have seen, tenants refusing to leave, taking longer to leave, the seller not being able to vacate or deliver that unit vacant and broom clean. And now I've seen deals die, or we've had to wait a month, 2 months in there. So there definitely could be an issue because, as we all know, New York City protects these tenants, and starting the eviction process, it could take years.
I love that term broom clean too. Like what type of broom are we talking about? Broom clean's not that much clean. I mean, when I grew up with someone, it was like what's eating Gilbert grape in my house. And, you could sweep stuff, but you're just sweeping it to the other side of the,
mop clean would be a little nicer. Right?
Yeah.
We'll try to
Dust
change
buster.
We'll start that on
There's
the
gotta be a
CPL.
better-
We'll say mop clean.
Yeah. Immaculate.
But yeah, even speaking on that, some clients or brokers see broom clean and they're like, oh, they're going to get it professionally serviced, professionally cleaned. That is not the case.
There's got to be a better term. It should be like.
Well, I think it's a good term, but people, I guess you're thinking of. It depends on your perspective, I guess. Broom clean to me seems like you just swept through and you didn't really do it professionally, right?
Broom clean, the only cleaning standard where the broom is theoretical.
How about fully sanitized?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I think it just means just not totally in shambles.
Yeah, listen, you can't leave in garbage, furniture, clothes. Just making sure vacant and broom clean. Nothing on the floors.
So
dirt.
we've been pretty lucky. We've worked on a bunch of. I think I've worked mostly. I have a couple of condos, but mostly co-ops with you. I've been. Usually we've gotten buildings outside of that one S Corp, which was a very special situation. I ended up working on for my client. Buildings that were pretty solvent, that had good capital reserves. Have you ever dug into a building's minutes or financial records and found something so crazy that you had to tell your buyer this is a no-go?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we really, we let the clients really make business decisions. We say these are all the assessments, these are the leaks, these are what happens, and this are the potential costs in the future. We never really, we tend to shy away from saying absolutely not, don't buy in the building, because some buyers still want to buy it. They love the building, they're aware of assessments. Maybe we can try to find and make it work.
But have you had something where you found you personally found this is a nuts? I mean, obviously. You have to couch it a certain way, and you hope that they see it logically. I get it.
Yeah,
but
there's been a handful of times in my career.
I'm just curious. Do you have something? Do you have something specific?
Maybe 3 or 4 times. Not too specific. It's more so when you look at the financials and they're running at a huge loss. They have their maintenance increases have been 10, 15% year over year over year. They have assessments every year. They don't have a stable reserves, and they're sometimes if they're 50 units or plus, you want to see that reserve. You want to see they're running accordingly, and sometimes you look at these buildings and they're just at a deficit always. It
always seems so random to me about maintenance fees and how how you could have 2 buildings that are right next to each other and they're both kind of built in a similar way, similar style, and the maintenance in one could be dirt cheap and the maintenance in other, and it's not even like that there's a store or something. It's not like it's a condop or anything
amenities.
Like that. It always is to me seems
It depends. Maybe one has a full-time doorman, the other one. It could also be from the amenities or whatever.
Or I don't know if it's the management company or how they're running it.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes obviously if it's 2 buildings and one has amenities, you're going to have higher maintenance. doormans, gym, things like that. Sometimes it's just one building's just been very poorly budgeted, and they hire the wrong people. They have local law. They have facade issues. They had a bad sponsor. Bad developer, and now they're just playing catch up for years and years and years and years, and eventually, it comes to a head. Whereas other buildings, sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's not. But yes, it is interesting. But it's why in support we do our due diligence and we're reviewing everything. And even in the board minutes, I've seen deals die because we catch the board minutes. Issues with neighbors, smoking complaints, noise complaints, things like that, where our buyers say, I'm not comfortable buying with a neighbor that has all these complaints against them. They're clearly fighting with everyone in the building. So the minutes are good for that. We had one deal that died recently, and it was a beautiful co-op, pretty new, but they found out that they were building, some sort of shelter directly next door to them. It's not something our buyer was willing to spend a couple $1 million.
They didn't want to donate their time in a soup kitchen?
Yeah, no, exactly. So things along those lines, those are the minutes are for. So, ultimately we try to pass it to our buyers. So, present them the information. This is what's upcoming. This is what the building operates like. Let us know what your thoughts are. And, maybe we'll try to always negotiate, some sort of credit, some sort of price reduction if buyers are still trying to, to move forward.
I also just, I'm just curious from your perspective. Your wife is a pediatrician, right?
She's an NP.
Yeah.
But yeah, in peds.
How is that? Because I have a 9-year-old, and what do you have? A
2-year-old.
Two 2-year-olds?
No, just one 2-year-old.
One 2-year-old. Yeah, I've seen pictures of them. Is it hard to the work-life balance between, because she has a pretty intense job, and then you have, because we're like 1099, so I can flux. My job is busy, but I can move around. But you have to be at the office. She has to be there. Is it crazy? Luckily,
we have help. We have my parents, my sisters who live very close to us.
We waited
but
too
yeah,
long.
It's flexibility on that end. She spreads her hours a little bit. They also can work nights and weekends and things like that. So sometimes
because you seem well rested,
she'll pick. Sometimes she'll pick a weekend and then take a couple of days off during the week when she knows I'm going to be in the city. So it's a matter of balancing. But yeah, that could definitely be a pain because she's she's a ped. So it's nice to have your own in-house medical care for your son, but then she's a little bit over the top because she sees this on a daily basis. Everything that comes in. That these kids are bringing into the office. Now she comes home and,
Yeah. She's like, I'm off the clock.
Yeah.
Now she's like, well, Cameron can't do this. He can't do that because, she's worried about, whatever it is that she saw worst case scenario in the office that day. So it's funny sometimes.
What I hate to, because so much of our business is focused on co-ops, but I have not, oh God, there's no wood around here. I'm going to knock on something.
Knock on it.
I have not had, someone get rejected. I'm usually pretty methodical when I do co-op packages, but I tell people all the time. My line that I say to them is, some boards are going to be easy. Sometimes you'll go to the board interview, and because I've had this happen, it's going to be in a Zoom. They're going to be wearing a hoodie. They're going to be like, "That's it." And sometimes it's murders in the building, But have you ever? What's the most ridiculous reason that you've seen someone get rejected by a co-op board? I guess technically they can't tell you, but
it's hard.
Sometimes you kind of have an idea.
Yeah. But yeah, as you said, it's hard because the co-op boards don't have to tell us most of the time. We're left guessing. What happened? Could it be the price? Could it be the financials? Could it be, a parent buying for a child? And then we try to infer and try to appeal and to whatever they do. So it's really hard to say with co-op because they really give us zero intel. So it's not really one reason or another. Sometimes it's just difficult buyers and their personality comes across the table and the board says no, thank you.
Yeah, it's just who you are.
Just who you are sometimes.
Yeah.
But I had an interesting one. As you say, you deal more with co-ops with a condo recently, where our buyers
got rejected by a condo.
Not rejected, but then they went back and asked for a guarantor. Which is very odd, though, because
I've had that in a.
But usually you'll see that if it's LLCs or a certain type of structure. Our buyer had great financials, had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of post-close liquidity, and
this is for a condo.
For a condo, and I've never seen this before. And we went back, and they're like, just give us a letter stating that that the father will cover X, Y, and Z just in case something happens in the future. It was an odd one, so it's hopefully it's not a recent a new trend that's happening, but I doubt it. But yeah,
the one time I had a condo do something like that, it was like right after the pandemic, or it wasn't right after, it was maybe 2022 or 23, But we had sold it was at some building in Dumbo, and we had, I think it was like 85 Adams or something, and it was like the lowest price one bed, like that's sold since like the pandemic or whatever. And they did hold us up, and they were trying to ask, oh, why is this going so low? I don't know. I never got
Yeah,
that.
no, listen, 99% of the times with condos, we don't have issues. A few times, again, this was one of a million.
What's going to be next? They're going to start restricting their subletting policy?
Yeah, I think this is just a one-off. Maybe a board member just, maybe they want the unit. I don't know. This is an odd one. Then the other time, when they actually, of course, the board packages, while they're not as cumbersome and they don't ask you for much as co-ops do, they still do ask for financials and everything like
it's
that.
more and more when you go through those
getting-
management companies where I'm just like,
Some of these managing agents, they're used to dealing with these co-op packages, so now they're starting to bring those same packages over to the condo side. And
That's nice.
But the only time I've really seen it was where our buyers' financials really didn't make sense, and the board couldn't really add up any of their dollar figures where one financials led to another, and they really thought it was something iffy. That was the one time where the board said, not that we're not issuing it, but we're not dealing with you until you could provide us, a paper
with the
trail,
condo.
'cause this, yeah.
because with the condo, if
They were just worried that this was all fraud and they didn't want it back from them, so they're dealing with
because
us
otherwise they
dying.
have to buy it themselves, right? Is that how that
Correct,
works?
technically, if they don't issue the waiver.
I love that.
Yeah.
Then it's really
That's like one of my favorite parts of like walking someone through the buyer's process and telling them the difference. I think that's like such like a funny like caveat that never happens. That you can only really get rejected if the board buys it themselves,
Yeah. But it's some of the more upscale ones that might do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Have you ever seen that happen?
No.
I've never seen it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. This has been another great episode of Comedy and Closings. I'm Josh Carter.
I'm Warren Holstein.
And we're here with Michael Carlas. Yeah, follow us on Instagram at VIP Plus Team or Warren Holstein Real Estate, Josh Carter Real Estate. And what's your Instagram, Michael?
Is it private? You don't have to list it.
I don't even know. It's M. Carlos. It's my Instagram.
All right, well, until next month, we'll see you guys soon.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business. And it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.